Welcome back, legends. I'm Leon Todd for G66. On today's video, I want to show you how you can get even more versatility out of your AM4 by utilizing gapless preset changes. Before we get into that, I want to show you a preset that I've built around the Class A 30-watt Brilliant amp. This one is really easy to set up. I like turning the bass, treble, and high cut up on this and just using the gain control to adjust the amount of drive. I've paired it up with the Mechanics Hall reverb, and currently we've got a Guardian photon speed bypass. We're going to use that as a boost. There's also a tremolo block in here, and I'm going to be using two channels of that tremolo block to get contrasting modulation sounds. What I've done is I've organized this preset into 4 scenes, one which is just the amp and cab along with the reverb. The second scene brings in the boost, and then scene 3 and scene 4 use those different channels of the tremolo block. This is a Fender 75th Anniversary Ultra 2 Telecaster. You're hearing the unprocessed output of the AM4, and it sounds like this. Thinking about that is just as a traditional amp and cab setup. I've got the single channel on the amp that I'm hitting with a boost. I've got the tremolo on channel A set up for the bias trem for that traditional swampy tremolo sound. But then on channel B of the tremolo block and save to scene 4, I've got the harmonic trem. And a harmonic trem can usually pass for a univibe style sound on there. But what if I wanted to have an actual univibe model on there? How would I go about setting that up? The univibe lives in the phaser block, and I've utilized my 4 blocks on here. Well, this is how I would personally do it. The first thing that I'm going to do is return to scene 1 on here. Let's hit save, and then we're going to come up to Tools, Manage Presets. I'm going to right click this preset. I'm going to copy it, and let's copy it into the next 3 slots over here. So we'll paste those in. This way we're going to have 4 copies of the exact same preset on there. And I'll give them a really imaginative name, AC31, AC32, and we can come in here and use the rename feature to do this. We'll call it AC33 and AC34. Kind of magic. You could give them different names depending on the type of effects we're going to use in there, but I don't want to give away the game too fast. Let's hit save over there. So currently it's the exact same preset, and what I'm going to do is go to that second preset over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it on this particular scene, but I'm going to save it with the drive block on. So currently it's exactly the same as scene 2 in the preceding preset. Let's go to the third preset over here. I'm going to turn the tremolo on. Notice I haven't changed the scene names yet. We can get to that a little bit later in the video and clean it up, but just focus now on the sounds. Our first preset, as you can see over here, is just going to be the straight up amp and reverb. Then we're adding the boost, then we're adding the tremolo. Now in the fourth preset, rather than have the tremolo on channel B for a harmonic tremolo that kind of sounds like a univibe, let's just replace this block with a phaser block. Let's bring up something like, say, the FAS vibe. I just like turning the rate up somewhere around 2 Hertz on this one, and I'll hit save there. Now I've got essentially what I wanted before. I do want the drive on over here, but instead of having to use a harmonic tremolo, I'm using a phaser block for that univibe. Saving those presets into a single bank means instead of living in scene mode like I was before on the AM4, I can just live in preset mode. There's gapless switching between presets, and I can have those 4 distinct sounds at my feet. Now, I have gone through and renamed these. I've just called them crunch for the first preset, boost for the second preset, trem for the third preset, and then I've called it vibe for the preset where I'm swapping out the tremolo block for that phaser block. Now, we could take this further. Let's say for the crunch sound on there, I'm not using the tremolo block at all. I might want to use a completely different effect just to give me a little bit extra, especially with this Telecaster. So what I might do is I'm going to pop a compressor block in there, and let's use something cool like the Citrus Juicer compressor on there. I'm going to turn the compression up to around 7 on there, and I'm going to hit save. So this way I've got a compressor that I didn't have in any of the presets, and when I swap over to my next preset, I could just have a boost on there. So let's have a listen to those. Pretty cool, but again, I'm not using the tremolo block in here. Maybe I could add something just to add a little bit more grit to my guitar sound and a bit more sustain. Let's swap out the tremolo for a filter block in here. I'm going to use a peaking filter. I'm just going to boost up the mid-range around, say, 1400 hertz with a fairly wide Q. Let's give it maybe 6 dB of gain. So now I'm stacking a mid-focus boost with a filter into the drive block. Let's hear that. I like that a lot. That's really transforming that drive. So I've got those stacked gain stages on there. Let's hit save there. Now on my trem scene, I mean, maybe I want the compressor and the tremolo together on there. So what I could do is I could rearrange the order there. Let's actually go back to our crunch scene and let's hit edit and copy block. I'll then come over to my trem scene and I will drop in this compressor block. So the exact same settings that I had before, we can hit save there. And then on my vibe scene over here, you know, maybe I wanted to run instead of univibe into the drive into the amp. Maybe what I could do is use the amp input boost, and then I could take out the drive, maybe add a delay. So let's do that. We'll swap the order there. I'm going to add a delay block over here. Let's use something tasty like, say, the mono BBD. I think the stock settings on this one are awesome. And then in the amp block, let's go to expert edit. Let's go to the preamp tab. I'm going to use, say, the shred boost because that one gets super juicy. We'll turn it on. We go for a massive amount of gain. Let's do like 20 dB of gain over there. So now I've got my univibe into a boosted up amp with a delay on there for a sweet lead scene. And I've still got those 4 presets on there. no matter what way you want to use your AM4, whether it's using scenes, effects mode, or this preset based approach, none are better than the other. It's all about customizing it to your needs. And I think it really is a testament to just how versatile the switching capabilities are on the AM4. Even just restricting yourself to the 4 onboard buttons. Of course, if you use an external MIDI controller, you could have dozens of presets for different tones and different effect parts across your set list if you're playing live, or have them all saved there for when you're doing a recording session or just jamming at home. I think this preset based approach is great though, because you fix the amp and the cab model like a real world analog rig. If you were just playing through a real amp and a speaker cabinet and you had a pedal board with a switching system, and you know you're never going to turn all of your pedals on at the same time, essentially that's what we're mimicking with this approach on the AM4. If you've got any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I will see you on next week's Tuesday Tone Tip. Take it easy.